My name's Mrs Patel. I live in Hatherley in Cheltenham. I am a shopkeeper, own the shop, the local shop. Well, I was born in Kenya, and my mother became a widow. She had a British passport, so she couldn't work in Kenya, so she would have been kicked out. So my mother brought us here, and that was in 1974. I went to the local schools, did all sorts, did my O-levels, A-levels, I went to university in Salford, did a degree in maths, and got married. And my husband's he was an accountant, and all of a sudden he decided he wanted a shop because he was having problems at work. So he thought, let's buy a shop for my wife to run, and he'd go back and do the accountancy. And that was nearly 21 years ago. And he found this shop. I mean, we used to live in London, and he found this shop in Cheltenham somehow. So we moved here. I had a nearly a year-old child by then, and all we did is work in here. And he never went to look for another job. All he did was shop work, because it was a busy shop, and to bring it up to scratch he had to be here all the time. So we used to have staff in those days, but now shops are a dying breed, aren't they? We were busy, but not as busy as we used to be. So that's how we came to be in Cheltenham. I'm glad we made this change from London. I mean, London was getting too crowded anyway, and they've had good upbringing. I'm glad we moved from London. It's just hard work. We work Mondays to Sundays, but we come here at about 6:15, and we go home after 8. One of us is always here. I think because we came from abroad, we wanted to prove ourselves. Being Asians, it was difficult enough to get jobs. Education was brilliant here, so our parents always based everything on education. Or even when we were young in Kenya, you always educate your children, whatever happens. That's the culture that I come from, and we just sort of carried it on. If you wanted to get a good job, you had to work more. You know, you had to work twice as hard as any other person to get somewhere. So I think that's how my mother brought me up, to better myself. So I think we try and instill that in our children. But they're both good children, and they don't go out and vandalize things. But it's because we tell them not to. It's nothing to do with education or anything. It's just how you're brought up, I think. Yeah, hopefully he won't be a vandal. There are lots of good children, but there's that handful who are vandals. My children didn't go to the local schools. My older one went to Pates. My younger one goes to a private school, Richard Pates, because I'm the local shopkeeper. There's always that chance that he's the local shopkeeper's son. Let's beat him up, because she didn't let us in. She banned us. So you always get racism, loads and loads. I mean, I first came to Cheltenham. This is just one example. This customer stopped coming in the shop because it had been bought by rocks. I mean, you'd walk on the streets and you'd say, "Go away, Packy," you know, things like that. So you're always aware of that, you know. And my child was the only Asian child in the school. Even little kids used to say, "Oh, it's that chocolate kid." And that's, I mean, I'm not going back 60s or 70s. I'm going back 86. I was always aware of that. My children, my older child was. The younger one hasn't come across it. How much would you like to pay?
All of it.
75, 67.